It was on February 22nd, 2005, that the Lord led me and a group of intercessors with me working on Restore America for Home and Garden Television, a program I produced, to help bring a royal court case before the Lord, having to do with America, having to do with American history, having to do with world history, and the need in the court of heaven to bring a new restoration, a new revival of God's original intent for America and the nations to come into the earth. And it's something that could only be done by royal decree, something that could only be done and legislated by the Lord himself. And that was to present a court case, an appeal to heaven for America. And it lasted from February 22nd to July 22nd, 2005. He picked the date, July 22nd, to line up with Daniel chapter 7, verse 22, 21 and 22. Well, on July 21st and 22nd of 2005, the Lord took me and a group of intercessors to New York City to actually participate in a royal court case of heaven at the founding of America. And we did it, part of it, in Fraunces Tavern, a tavern in New York City, just 2 or 3 blocks from Wall Street, from the New York Stock Exchange. And it's sitting there originally in 1783. It's where George Washington said goodbye to his generals, in that tavern. And then of all things, George Washington set up the first offices of the American government in Fraunces Tavern, in the upper floors, because there was no Washington, D.C. And before the Constitution was ratified in 1787, he needed 4 years where he could have actual offices of the American government be established. And so he did it in Fraunces Tavern. He rented offices upstairs on the 2nd and 3rd floor to house Alexander Hamilton, Secretary of the Treasury, Henry Knox, Secretary of the War, and many others had offices in that tavern. And of all things, that's where the government of the United States of America was brought into being. That was the root, the taproot. And a principle he always teaches me, is always revealed through me, is if you can get to the root of anything, you can cause change. So he took us to the very root of the American government to make our appeal to heaven. And I wrote something under inspiration called the Liberty Charter. And for 5 months I had prepared this court case. The Lord said, you're going to need evidence. You're going to understand the dynamics of a courtroom. You're going to need to present the Ancient of Days evidence. You're going to need to present the Ancient of Days witnesses and everything else needed. And of all things, there needs to be a new charter written for America. Just like the Mayflower Compact was the original charter by the Pilgrims coming in 1620, they made the Mayflower Compact. And in the compact, they dedicated the land to Jesus Christ. Well, the Lord taught me about charters, that just like the Magna Carta, just like the Mayflower Compact, just like the Charter of Privileges written by William Penn in 1701, which really became the catalyst, the foundation for what would become known as our U.S. Constitution, that these charters, that if any time a group of men or women gather together in unity and write up a charter regarding a nation or anything else, a constitution of what that nation will be about, the precepts, that their signatures in unity have the power to actually create a nation just with one parchment, one piece of paper in unity. He showed me that one piece of paper, one parchment, has the power to create a nation or a sovereign unity. And so the Lord said, I need you to write something for America that's going to have the power, like the Declaration of Independence, to throw off the tyranny, the tyrannical rule of Lucifer in this nation, where there were tares sown at the beginning of this nation for darkness. The Lord said they were sown with the light. And the tares we've seen now have come into full growth. They're actually overtaking the wheat. And we can't suffer this any longer. The Lord is saying, I want you to redeem the time and create a new declaration for America. The Constitution will stand as it is, but you need a new declaration in the spirit realm to throw off tyranny in the spirit realm and usher in a new day for America with God's original intent, and that'll be up to him. So on July 21st and 22nd of 2005, the group of us signed the Liberty Charter after reading it out loud and taking communion. And we knew it was to lay before the royal court of heaven and wait for the day that his gavel would come down, that he would rule in favor of the saints of the Most High, in an appeal to heaven. And so we laid it before him. And one last thing he said is, you're going to need witnesses. Well, in the court proceedings, I said, Your Honor, I do have witnesses of what Lucifer's done against the people of God in the earth. I have the great cloud of witnesses. And so, Your Honor, I call to the stand the great cloud of witnesses to take the stand one at a time, that they would testify against Lucifer and what he's done in the earth to spoil the nations, that we might have a window of time to bring in the great harvest and prepare the bride so she's ready. Because if we don't have a window of time, we're in real trouble. And the Lord is able to alter time, our chronos time, with his kairos time. He's actually able to intervene in the affairs of men. If we call on him and ask him for change, he's able to do it, to legislate change from the throne of God into the earth. If man will make the appeal, write up a charter, sign it, and it's his will, he'll bring it into the earth. So according to Daniel 7:22, on July 21st and 22nd of that year, we made our appeal to heaven, and we laid it before him in 2005. It took 9 years until this June 2014, where Chuck Pierce, Dutch Sheets, and John Hamill of Lamplighter Ministries came out with a word on Elijah List that stunned me. After 9 years of waiting on the gavel to come down in this royal court case we had made, that they said that an appeal to heaven had gone up, and that on July 22nd this year, according to Daniel 7:22, that the Lord was going to bring the gavel down on an appeal to heaven. And I was stunned. They knew nothing of the court case. They knew nothing of the charter, the Liberty Charter. They knew nothing of what the Lord had the intercessors and I do in 2005. It had been 9 years to the day they were saying the Lord was going to bring a gavel down on a court case. They weren't even sure what it was, but I knew. And so I went to see Chuck Pierce and Dutch Sheets in Dallas. I went to see John Hamill. They invited me to Boston, to Faneuil Hall, where they were going to make a great appeal to heaven, and a gavel was going to come down. And it was all going to come together in a confluence on July 22nd of this year in Boston, in Faneuil Hall, the womb of the revolution. And here we were, standing, and they invited me to speak. And I gave this presentation of what I just described in the courtroom, and how the Lord had led us to write the Liberty Charter and sign it. And of all things, it would be 9 years to the day. And like John Hamill says, you can't make this stuff up. And that's been my saying for a long time, the same exact phrase, you can't make this stuff up. John Hamill and I have been on a similar path in intercession to really reveal the secrets of God into the earth, to make manifest his will, to give America and the nations a window of time, because it's not time yet. America is not destined to go down yet. We need the time, the window to bring in 1 billion souls, as Bob Jones said. So I believe the Lord legislated a ruling on that day, this past July 22nd, 2014, in Boston, while we were together, to bring the final commencement on the court case. A gavel came down that day from heaven, and everyone knew it. You can't make up 9 years to the day on your own. And so with great joy, I just celebrate what God did in the earth, and what he's bringing into the earth now is light. It's Isaiah 60. Arise, shine, your light has come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. Darkness covers the earth. Gross darkness, the people. Well, we're going to see light cover the whole earth and change everything? We're going to see a lot change with resurrection power. But the gavel's come down. And between now and October, we're going to see a great surge of faith come into America, come into the earth, to bring about the conception of what God wants to do. So yes, things have changed. Yes, he said, blessed are the feet of those who bring good news. And I bring you good news today. The Lord has legislated change from heaven into the course and the affairs of men in the earth to bring in his kingdom in great power now. So be expectant and move into this.